Welcome to TradeTheMBI.com. This is John. This report is for the 11th, and we continued off that bounce above the ABM green right here, and moving along, consistent with what we see from the readings. No change there. Also, we've got green crossing over on the DOC over cyan, and cyan dipping below red as well. Not to mention the orange that it already dips. All is pretty consistent with the continuation right back up to the highs in pre-market here. We've actually touched them. Nothing unusual with any of that turnaround from the shakeout. We still have the dip below the red line that happened, though. We look at the NASDAQ here on the extreme histogram, which means that move back down to the low will get retested. It's just not at this particular stage. And at least from a current situation, nothing has changed. Budget, everything is good. So from that standpoint, everybody's happy. However, the bond market is realizing that they went a little out of control with the idea that rate cuts were going to be back to zero and backing off that slightly, improving the yield. Not enough to put any pressure on the market at this particular stage. From an oil standpoint, benign, right at the 23%, still from a positive reading, but it's an interesting one because we're going to start looking at, even like the Saudis were saying, limited demand situations, growing reserves. Is there broader global slowing taking place? It just hasn't developed yet, potentially, but even at these prices, still no. Everything's within range, I think is the best way to put it. That's also bolstered the euro. It's interesting because you look at Germany and the situation they're having, layoffs right and left, and all sorts of difficulties, and they're the primary driver of growth in the eurozone. So it's interesting to see the euro even at that level. From a gold standpoint, no real excitement. There was a lot of activity on the Bitcoin front with the ETF, which I think is going to be much to do about nothing initially, but nonetheless, it just is going to provide more buying and selling pressure for the ETF as well as for Bitcoin in general, because holders have to have the underlying asset. And to me, this is all kind of funny. It's just a broadening appeal. We've been on Bitcoin futures for how long now and talking about them. So it just gives the market players opportunity to move it a little bit more than would otherwise be seen. So not a whole lot of anything. The interesting one, though, ETH finally catching up and really blowing through some of the resistances that it had and simply catching up to where Bitcoin has been. It's been a lagger for quite some time. And so seeing it propel itself back up is just an indication that the crypto space is alive and well, not going anywhere at this particular stage. And the more regulatory approvals that take place, the better the options get for it as an alternative. There's going to be a lot of talk about CBDCs and the idea of moving to a digital cryptocurrency for major currencies and those are the platforms that are going to be needed in order to make that happen. So can't deny the future and where things are headed, and it's been a popular idea amongst a lot of governments. You could see pushing all the way back up to the highs on that 50K. That was a nice run, stabilized a little bit, then we had the nice push up. Still all pretty consistent. No real MBI white movement that would cause any freak out. Yes, positive extreme on this move that's taking place, so some backfill into that, not be out of expectation. From an intraday standpoint, the other day we started up and then consolidated and then just continued to bounce. So it was pretty even. When we had a positive extreme, took place right in this area, got filled right at the post market, and then from there it's been nothing but rosy as we've just climbed, and that's filling back some positive extremes there. So healthy behavior even in the post market. It's all good right now. doesn't mean volatility isn't still reasonable. These are pretty decent swings intraday, but from an overall balanced ticker at the end of the day, it's modest and well within range, and we're coming off of what we expected from new fund money coming in, and no real negatives to drive anything lower. So uh, that's the long and the short of it for now. Anything relevant, I will certainly put it up on the Skype chat. Have a good one. Trade well.